the lessons, the parables from this election for Sinn Féin, first of all, because they're the ones firmly in the frame.
The first lesson for them is do not believe that doing the same thing as you've done and that has been very useful to you in the previous 2 years will necessarily work. Sinn Féin had it all tied down in communication terms. Leaders' questions every day was virtually the same. They would frame their question or have it framed for them in such a way as to provoke a particular response from the government speaker, and then they would upload that onto their social media feed. And it was clear that on social media they were winning hands down. And I think they thought that if they continued to do that, they would continue to win hands down. The problem with social media is that when mainstream media takes against you or finds you guilty of something, the change is like a wave. Whereas on social media, it's a mad lurch. And Sinn Féin experienced a mad lurch from everybody's favourite, almost entertainment people, the people who were always on the attack, to suddenly every day, no matter which platform you went on, you were finding traitors, 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 that kind of sloganeering. And they simply didn't cope with that at all. The second thing that Sean Defoe touched on there very briefly with you is they don't seem to have run a lively, energetic, or exciting campaign.
What they're
They
talking about is the ground war and the air war. The air war being on mainstream media broadcast and also on social media. The ground war being
Yep.
knocking on the door.
And that's something, I mean, I've heard Fergus Finlay on this programme talk about Sinn Féin's unmatched ground capacity. But in this instance, they don't seem to have had that. They don't seem to have had the palpable energy that the Fine Gael campaign had. By the way, on that thing of the Fine Gael campaign and this energy lark, people are crediting Simon Harris a lot with it. But you must also remember that if somebody like a Simon Harris comes in, he comes in with a plethora of advisors, staff people. So the whole game changes. And it's much easier to infuse a party with that sort of excitement if you're a Simon Harris than if you are a Mary Lou MacDonald. And in this particular instance, not only did she not infuse it with excitement, but if you watched her last night as she arrived at whatever count centre she arrived at, she was saying, Pat, the sort of cliched old stuff that you would have heard for decades from politicians who have got a knock saying, oh, we will listen. Well, do you know something? Listening was always your job. What happened that you weren't listening?
Yeah, and that is the question they are going to mull over for the next few months because a general election is nigh. There's no question. Now, how nigh is something for Simon Harris to ponder.
And he will be under enormous pressure from the people who have nothing to lose. In other words, journalists for starters, because journalists don't really care, but they have such an adrenaline rush when there's an election. I mean, it's very funny to hear journalists almost complaining over the fact that we won't have full results until Thursday or Friday. They love that. They loved being out at the count centres. So they're saying that the logical thing is for Simon Harris to do a giveaway budget and then move quickly. And I sincerely hope that he doesn't listen to that.
It strikes me that the lesson for Joe Biden and the Democrats is look what Simon Harris did for Fine Gael.
Wow.
Step aside, Joe. Get someone in there who's got energy and brings all of that stuff that Simon Harris has brought to Fine Gael, and you might just trounce Trump.
It is a fascinating thing that the emotional temperature is at least as important as the policy documents and data. And the sense of positivity, of excitement, even the amusement. I mean, if you saw the footage of Simon Harris rushing through, I don't know, Ballinasloe or somewhere, clutching a half-eaten ice cream cone and being chased by guards who were having great difficulty catching him up. It was funny. It would put certainly Fine Gael supporters into good humour. And the problem for Sinn Féin is that they haven't been putting anybody into good humour. People have grown tired of the constant attack. And also, the electorate are very, very smart. And the £300,000 euro promise of affordable housing, the electorate looked at that and thought, that's a really nice idea. You wouldn't like to tell us how.
And they never did.
They never did.
All right, Terry, thank you very much for joining us. Terry Prone, Chair of the Communications Clinic. Thank you very much.